Something that I truly appreciate Star Wars for is its willingness to explore and break down complex characters and complex situations. Despite the differing aspects of the Force, not everything is black and white in Star Wars lore, and more importantly, in its histories. The Jedi are protectors of the galaxy, protectors of the innocent, and yet they use children as their soldiers to fill out their ranks in time of war. But how do they justify this, and why does the galaxy allow the Jedi to do this at all? But an even bigger question, why did they continue to let the Jedi do this? You heard me correctly. The Jedi using child soldiers was not something that began with the Clone Wars. The Jedi have done this before. But before we condemn the Jedi as guilty right off the bat, what are their reasons for using children in war? Obviously they know that this is wrong, or at least that's what you would assume. How could the Jedi Order possibly justify this? Well, that's where things get interesting. And, of course, complex, a word that we'll be using a lot throughout this video. But in order for this all to make sense, we'll have to go back to the new Sith Wars, the Battle of Ruusan, and most importantly, a time in Star Wars history where a Jedi general made a critical sacrifice, not only sacrificing his own life, but the lives of countless child soldiers in the process, as well as other Jedi, in order to stop the Sith, and to keep the galaxy liberated from the dark side. But why were these children on the battlefield to begin with? Well, first, let's break down the sort of enemy that the Jedi were facing. This is not a version of the Sith that many are familiar with. This is the Brotherhood of Darkness. These Sith believe that they can use the dark side as a unifying force. The Brotherhood sought to harness the dark side of the Force collectively instead of in individuals. They believed that with their combined strength, they could develop new techniques in the Force that would be extremely powerful, and this proved to be true, with the advancements of abilities such as the Thought Bomb. Their leader, Khan, believed in the ideology of collective power. He believed that unity would make the Sith stronger, allow them to focus on a singular goal. He sought to establish an egalitarian structure. Unlike traditional Sith factions, where power struggles and betrayal were common and even encouraged, the Brotherhood of Darkness sought to eliminate all infighting. To symbolically move forward, they abolished the title of Darth, except for Bane. Their leader, though, then went a step further. He declared that all Sith among the Brotherhood of Darkness were equal. All of them were Dark Lords of the Sith, one power against the Jedi. And with that, you have their singular goal, proving that once and for all, the Sith reigned supreme over the Jedi Order. They sought to destroy the Jedi both in their military and their ideology, aiming to prove their superiority, and more importantly, the superiority of the dark side. But with this, they awoke a dangerous beast. The Sword of the Light responded in kind. The Jedi General, Lord Hoth, swiftly would answer the calls of the Brotherhood of Darkness. But although our story has framed Lord Hoth as our hero here, you will find Lord Hoth to be quite complex in his own right. General Hoth was deeply committed to the Jedi Order, but greater, his mission to protect the galaxy from the Sith. His unwavering determination made him a great leader in wartime, especially against the Brotherhood of Darkness. But where he becomes controversial was his willingness to make immense sacrifice, including his own life and the life of children. The Jedi Order only brings their Padawans to the front lines of war in times where their numbers dwindle. The Jedi were not prepared for the Clone Wars, and the Jedi were not prepared for the new Sith Wars either. The numbers of the Jedi dwindled quickly, and it was Lord Khan who directly requested that Jedi Padawans be sent to the front lines of war, believing it a necessity if they were going to fight back the Sith, a greater good. And now we get into the real meat of the video, the philosophy of the Jedi. In the new Sith Wars, Lord Hoth justified using Padawans as a greater good to fight back the threat of the Sith. But how did the Jedi Council actually look at Jedi Padawans? The Jedi believed in teaching the responsibility of discipline early. Padawans were not seen as children in the eyes of the Jedi, not in the conventional sense at least, but rather as individuals preparing for the challenges of their role. To a Jedi, when a Padawan undertook the path of preparing to be a Jedi, they have accepted all of the struggles that may come with that life. This is something that begins at the Padawan stage. The Jedi preach in faith in the Force. They believe that the Force has guided them in all of their actions. A Padawan in the front lines of battle was seen as fulfilling their role in the Force, not as being recklessly endangered. All Jedi believed their mission to be a sacred duty to protect the galaxy as paramount above anything else, above individual or other members of the Order's safety. and this belief extended to even its youngest members. They would go on to justify this further. They saw themselves not as soldiers, but rather as protectors, even when serving as generals in the Clone War. The Jedi claimed that their involvement in combat was a necessary extension of their peacekeeping mission. Padawans therefore were seen as learning to fulfill their role rather than being exploited for war. The Jedi believed that they could train them through experience, and they claimed that missions, even the most dangerous ones on the front lines of war, were viewed as opportunities for a young Jedi to grow, to learn more about the galaxy around them, and form a deeper connection. On the surface, all things considered, this seems like a pretty good argument. The Jedi are framing themselves to the galaxy again as their heroes, their protectors, but the reality of war exposed the flaws in all of this reasoning. Padawans died in battle, and the emotional toll was profound. The public believed deeply now in Jedi detachment. They argued that the Jedi's emphasis on emotional detachment blinded them to the ethical implications of involving children in mass war, and the Jedi would pay. This would all contribute to their downfall. Palpatine played the public like a fiddle, but there was a part of the public that was absolutely right to criticize the Jedi for this. The Jedi could simply justify everything as the will of the Force if they wanted to, and many believed that they were going to do that. Mace Windu certainly would have if he had managed to arrest Palpatine successfully. In the end, sending Jedi Padawans to the front of combat has proven to be a tragic aspect of the Jedi Order's great decline, a decline that even Obi-Wan and Yoda would admit to, a decline that Luke Skywalker would resolve to change, as this all shone a massive spotlight on the ethical blind spot in the Jedi's philosophy. But it all goes back to the greater question. In the end, was it worth it? Was it worth it to General Hoth to make his great sacrifice to protect the galaxy? Was it worth it to all of the Jedi Padawans who sacrificed their lives on the field of the Clone War? That's why the question is such a fascinating one. Without Ahsoka's training in wartime under Anakin Skywalker, she wouldn't have become the valiant Jedi and leader that she turned out to be. On the battlefield, Anakin Skywalker taught Ahsoka to be patient, taught her to be an invaluable leader to her team, taught her how to work with others, how to listen, how to command authority and respect, how to adapt, how to trust in herself and her own abilities, developed critical thinking in wartime, and it was on the battlefield that Anakin Skywalker would give her that independent streak that would serve her well and ultimately save her life time and time again. Not only in Order 66, but in every battlefield engagement after. He taught her how to adapt, and he taught her when and how to break rules. And in the end, shockingly, on the battlefield, Anakin taught her compassion. His genuine care for others influenced Ahsoka to act with compassion at all times, even when the Jedi Order faltered. And with that, my friends, we come to the end of the video, but hopefully not the end of this complex discussion. I would love to hear your insight on this in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video or believed that it brought something insightful, a like would help out immensely. As always, my friends, thank you for the visit. Until next time, and may the Force be with you.